We've talked about movies that spawn cartoons and how there are a ton of great ones, but what about the other way around? What about movies spawned by cartoons? Honestly, it's a real mixed bag. Movies based on animated series tend to be really weird, but that doesn't make them unwatchable. In fact, a really weird movie is a great conversation starter. So think of this as a list of the best ones to talk about, not the ones of the highest caliber. Make sense? Good. Let's begin. The Rocky and Bullwinkle versus generated a few movies. There's the pretty good Mr. Peabody and Sherman CGI animated film. There's Dudley Do-Right, aka the Brendan Fraser movie based on an animated series that isn't George of the Jungle. But the movie that made this list is 2000's The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, because not only is it bursting at the seams with big name talent, but it was also weirdly prophetic. Here's the elevator pitch. Boris and Natasha escape their cartoon universe to try to get fearless leader elected president through boring, terrible TV mind control, and then Rocky and Bullwinkle have to come to the real world to stop them. Also, the internet is evil and no one wants to be there. Someone really ought to re-release this movie and add "based on a true story" to the title card. June Foray returned as Rocky, but also Jason Alexander is Boris, Rene Russo is Natasha, and Robert De Niro is fearless leader. Janine Garofalo, Carl Reiner, David Alan Grier, Keenan and Kel, Whoopi Goldberg, and Billy Crystal all appear, plus John Goodman. And if there is one thing you're gonna learn from this list, it's that John Goodman being in a movie is the ultimate stamp of approval. And I can prove that because the next movie on this list stars John Goodman in a role he was born to play, Fred Flintstone. In 1994, adapting an animated series had almost never been done before, and certainly not with an idea as big as recreating the world of the Flintstones. And I think that's where this movie really becomes worth seeing. The costume and set designs are really incredible, and I think Rosie O'Donnell deserved better than a Raspberry Award. She definitely has the Betty Rubble laugh down. But honestly, John Goodman as Fred Flintstone is worth the price of admission alone. Sometimes a lead actor can be enough to make people see it. That was not the case with Charlize Theron when she was cast as Aeon Flux. That movie is worth further examination now that fans aren't so mad about a less than faithful adaptation. Director Karen Kusama, who has gained more respect after Jennifer's Body and The Invitation, directed some really interesting action sequences in Aeon Flux. This is also the beginning of Charlize Theron's career as an action star, and she does a really good job. The costumes are definitely conversation starters, but so is the casting. Watching it now, you'll spend a lot of time going, hey, wasn't she in Doctor Who? Yup, that is Sophie Okonedo, who played Liz 10 in The Beast Below. Or, wasn't he in Doctor Who? Yup, that's Patterson Joseph. He was in Bad Wolf and was rumored to have been cast as the 11th Doctor. Or, wasn't she in Doctor Who? No, Carolyn Chikezi was not in Doctor Who. She was in Torchwood as the Cyberwoman. All that, plus a babyface Johnny Lee Miller, and Frances McDormand earning the easiest paycheck of her life. And sometimes a paycheck is easier to earn because you're doing something you always dreamed of. Freddie Prinze Jr. was doing fine as a 90s heartthrob, but what he really wanted was to trade out the Tiger Beat magazine for an ascot and a talking dog.
What up, dog? Keeping it real.
Both Scooby-Doo feature films are good. That's right, I said it. They're good. I know everyone saw the photo shoots where the costumes look terrible, but they look perfect in context. Sarah Michelle Gellar is a great Daphne. Matthew Lillard has spent a lot of his career now being the de facto Shaggy. And let's not forget that these movies were brave enough to acknowledge the truth that Scooby-Doo's greatest nemesis is Scrappy.
Let me at him! Let me at him! Let me at him! Let me at him!
Scrappy is terrible. The Scooby-Doo movies are some of the most faithful love songs to the source material ever made. If you ignored them when they came out, you did yourself a disservice. They are some of the best movies on this list. But not all successful cartoon adaptations are made by superfans, and the most successful of them all is often reviled by fans of the original cartoons. The Transformers movies are, well, they're an experience, one that people spend a lot of time talking about, Whether it's giant robots peeing on John Turturro, giant robots being really weird racial stereotypes, lady robots who are not giant, robots being butlers with multiple personalities, or John Goodman? Seriously? Again? Anyway, there's not a lot to disguise the fact that Transformers is a billion-dollar franchise, whether you like Michael Bay's version of it or not. And we'll close out on two movies that were not popular when they came out, but are considered to be cult classics now. The first is Josie and the Pussycats, a movie which you might not think qualifies as science fiction or fantasy. But A, the movie is about the government working with the music industry to control humanity using subliminal messages in pop music.
Blue is the new orange.
Which I hope is science fiction. And B, the Dreamcast is the most popular video game system in the movie, and yeah, that is hard fantasy. Sorry, Sega. But honestly, with some of the best pop-punk music in any movie ever, and perfectly weird performances from Alan Cumming as the secret albino, and Parker Posey as the music mogul who just wishes she was one of the cool girls, Josie and the Pussycats is the movie on this list most deserving of a decades later sequel. It's just that good. And the final movie is one that deserves to be as famous and beloved as any Fast and or Furious film. Speed Racer. People were, at the time, still really mad at directors the Wachowskis over the way The Matrix ended when the CGI-heavy Speed Racer came out. And the Speed Racer movie is, by its design, unnatural and cartoonish. It was an experiment that in 2008, people weren't quite ready for. But now, like with so many Wachowski joints, people are coming back and appreciating the artistry that is Speed Racer's dynamic color palette, its exciting race sequences, and the fact that John Goodman is in this too! Wow! If you take nothing else away from this list, seriously, if John Goodman is in a movie, it's worth seeing. But there are a ton of other live-action adaptations of animated series. What's your favorite? Inspector Gadget? Fat Albert, Gem and the Holograms? So you're the one person who likes that movie? Let us know in the comments below. And thank you for watching.